What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we are talking with Above Snakes. Great to talk with you today, Johnny. Thank you.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Hanging in there. Another day of this life we're in. But I got to tell you, I was just listening to these two singles, Adrenaline and Never Alone. Totally kick-ass. Being that these are the first singles you released, could this serve as maybe like a clear representation of what the whole Above Snakes full-length album will sound like, or is that just the tip of the iceberg?
It's definitely a good representation for sure, but we have some new tricks up our sleeve, and we are getting back into the studio to record some new stuff, and it'll definitely be along those same lines, but just taking it to the next level.
Awesome. Is there kind of like a preconceived goal or a preconceived idea of what maybe like the whole album will be about in terms of its sound or its meaning or anything else?
We're still up in the air with that, but we do have another single that is coming out in just shy of a couple weeks, and that kind of wraps up these first three singles. They kind of tie together in visual and the meaning of the songs.
Mm-hmm. Do you try? Is the goal for Above Snakes at the moment to kind of like try to find a sound that you want to stick with, or are you trying to maybe like experiment with your sound and kind of explore uncharted territory every time?
We don't want to veer too far from it. This is what we've been kind of molding our sound before we release anything. We were working up towards what we wanted exactly. So we just kind of, we've found our niche, and we want to stay here and just kind of update a little bit each time,
Mm-hmm.
Stay current.
Stay current. That's a good song title.
As much as you can without being a cookie cutter copy,
Yeah, well, I think staying current is what helps people stay away from being a cookie cutter comment. I think when you're trying to bring something back or try to thrive into the past, that's more cookie cutter than staying current, if you ask me. Yeah. When it comes to writing the lyrics for the material, do you need to hear the music to come up with lyrics, or is there ever a time where maybe lyrics or a concept could help influence the sound of the music?
It definitely goes both ways, but a lot of the time I am just writing things down as they pop into my head. Start with a premise usually, and then see where that fits with which demo or whatever, and usually go from there. But sometimes right off the bat, you get inspired by the track and it just starts popping things into your head right away.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had the best lyrics ever, but then they're always one syllable over the arrangement of each song?
Yep, and you're like, oh shit, that doesn't work.
That's got to be heartbreaking, right?
Yep.
Do you like to leave the lyrics open to interpretation, or do you try to maybe engage the listener into what the song could particularly be about?
I try to straddle that line, you know what I mean? I don't want to give too much to one side where it's so specifically about a certain thing. I kind of like it to have meanings to multiple people in multiple situations. Not so broad, it's just kind of try to ride that line and stay in the middle,
Mm-hmm. And could somebody else's interpretation of the music almost serve as could that almost maybe let you see the song from a different perspective or make you see it from a different point of view?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, any example?
No, I haven't had any yet, but actually I did an interview the other day and someone was telling me about the whole Ozzy story with Sharon, how she kind of pulled him out of his darkest days and everything, and if she hadn't done that, maybe we wouldn't have Ozzy like we have him today. And kind of same situation, not to that extreme, but that's kind of the whole premise of Never Alone, the second single.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me that, and I was like, dude, that's pretty sick. I never looked at it like that.
It's pretty awesome. Is it when it comes to songwriting, is there always kind of an underlying armature? Is there always something that you always start off with, or do you has every song kind of been its own formula or its own approach?
Pretty much its own approach. Honestly, this is also kind of new because I've always been a drummer, and this is the first time I'm a singer now. So these first two songs were the first things that I've ever released like this.
The Revenge of the Rhythm section.
You know
it. Is there maybe though a similar form of expression that you have gone from behind the drum kit to being a frontman, or do you feel you're almost expressing yourself through a completely different language, or maybe portraying somebody very differently in that regard?
No, because I come at it aggressively and, and always loud and in your face, and that's kind of how my drumming style was. So, just instead of being in the back, I'm up front now.
And has, though, like, maybe having that rhythmic background have taught you any, like, technical capabilities of, like, does that maybe help you with a front man in a way, as a front man?
Definitely with rhythm, you know what I mean? Just the years of rhythmic performances and everything definitely helps with syncopation and stuff.
Yeah. And do you almost feel like maybe going as Johnny Skulls, like that almost is like maybe portraying a certain persona or maybe portraying somebody different like on the album or on stage than who you would be personally?
No, not really. We're hanging out, getting fucked up, having a good time pretty much 24/7.
That's awesome. And like, kind of like with like the source of inspiration for writing lyrics, do you almost kind of like does inspiration sometimes come out of the blue, or do you kind of have like a usual place that you have to be in order to get the creative energy to flow through?
Things definitely pop out of the blue. Like I was legit writing a few things in my notepad on my phone before we took this call. But when I do sit down to write, I like it dark. I like to have dim lighting, set the mood, spark up a blunt, have a little Crystal Head vodka, and get to work.
And it's got to be. Do you have to keep that on you at all times?
All times. All times. Yep.
I hope you're not one of those artists who get inspiration while driving.
No.
Yeah.
Let people drive for me.
That's awesome. Totally rock and roll.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and when it comes to, do you find it maybe easier when you're like in the company of your other bandmates in order to come up with some new ideas, or do you prefer to like be a little bit more alone in isolation?
No, me and Dax, my guitar player, we write everything together. Well, he's like the yin to my yang, so to speak.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, I'd imagine you always are learning from each other, right?
For sure. It's very hard over the years being in bands and stuff. It's like hard to find that person that you gel with and you can always work with and not butt heads. I feel like that's a big issue with a lot of bands and why they ultimately split up. So when you find that person that you can work with, you got to stick by them and make good shit happen.
Yeah, well, I've always said that like a way that people approach art, it is kind of like one of those, I mean, it is kind of like an extreme comparison, but it is almost like the creative process that we all have. It's almost like maybe a cultural difference, or it's like almost like a spiritual difference or a philosophical difference. Like everybody creates differently. You kind of have to learn from each other and kind of like adjust in certain things, which is very hard for people sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been in situations where it didn't work, and it's very frustrating. It makes you not even want to do the thing that you love, you know what I mean? So when I was fortunate enough to find that, that's kind of how this whole thing started, and we're just excited to get it out there to the world.
Yeah. And for this upcoming EP, you were working with Kyle O'Dell, who's worked with, artists such as Motionless in White and Fozzy and many other great artists. Did he maybe like bring some new ideas to the Above Snake sound as well?
Yeah, for sure. It was amazing working with Kyle, and we actually go back in with him in shy of a little over a month. So we'll bring in new music to everyone by summer.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, I've always said that the producer is kind of like the fifth Beatle, the sixth Beatle, if you're in Slipknot, the 11th Beatles, so.
Yep. It's true, man. You need to like have someone else outside of here that is like either you're crazy or you're fucking, you're on point. Let's roll with this and get it done.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we could sit here for days on end and be not happy with something or need to redo this or blah blah blah. It's not good enough. So it's always good to have that outside ear. Yeah.
Not to mention, they call the producers like the musical camp counselors as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yep. And I have two more questions for you. Kind of going back to the songwriting process. How do you exactly know when the song basically says everything it has to say? Like, how do you know when the song is pretty much done?
I think it's just all a feeling. I mean, if you feel it, it feels right, then you're good to go. I mean, sometimes there's definitely a little piece you're like, I need something else in there. But like I said, it also kind of circles back to driving yourself crazy on it. And, I feel like if you're like 95% there, you just gotta be like, that's it. Let's roll with it.
Yeah, it has to be a gut feeling. You don't want to overdo it at all. Yep. And the final question I wanted to ask you is, being that all of you guys are based out in Boston, which, is a phenomenal metal scene and a really great, history with, the metalcore movement and the hardcore movement and many classic rock as well. Before, the pandemic hit in a pre-pandemic world, was there kind of like a scene that you guys were cutting your teeth in, or is maybe the goal for Above Snakes to go outside your state lines at this point?
Definitely outside state lines once we can come back to doing everything. We haven't played at all yet. We haven't even played a show just because of the pandemic situation. And, we had the stuff ready and it was right in the middle of the pandemic when we released the first track. And we were like, do we do this? But we just kind of wanted to take the opportunity and get the music out there and, plant the seed and keep going. But as soon as things are opening up again, we want to hit the road hard for sure.
Yeah, and we definitely have something to look forward to. I could definitely see this music appealing to a lot of different fan bases, from rock fans to metal fans and so on and so forth.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, we're stoked.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time. Is there just anything else that you would like to promote for the release of the new Above Snakes EP? Like, maybe can we get a live stream performance just so people to get a good first taste of an Above Snakes live show, or anything else that you would like to plug in terms of new singles and stuff?
Yeah, that live stream stuff will be coming for sure, but as of right now, the new single, I Feel Bad, will be coming out February 19th with a video right off the bat, so stay tuned for that.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Johnny Skulls of Above Snakes. New stuff coming very soon. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.